Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I'm your host, Eric Smith. Today, I'm talking about Beaststalker by James V. Smith Jr. Look at that wonderful cover. This is from Dell. Beautiful, beautiful cover. And this is the sequel to Beastmaker, part of my spooktacular reading, as voted on by a few folks. And this was the last one for me to read, and it's not even quite mid-October yet, so I'll be adding some other ones. That'll be talked about in a different video. But Beaststalker, it's 2 years after the events of Beastmaker. There are still monsters out there killing people, and we have old characters and new characters trying to take them down. All right, so for the too long didn't watch crowd, I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. I liked it, but you can't give half stars on Goodreads, so I gave it 3 out of 5. But it's more of a 3.5. But I didn't feel I should bump it up to a 4, which is what I gave Beastmaker, because I don't like it as much as Beastmaker. But I did like it. I enjoyed it. But this book is much, much more of a thriller than a horror novel. So, there's beasts that are killing people. Our new character is Major Grayson Kirk, and he's going to get involved in all of this. But in the first book, we were introduced to this shadowy organization that was somehow involved with the beasts. And this book is much, much more about them and and trying to cover up what's going on. There's, at most, I would say, I didn't do a page count or anything, but just in my head anyway, it feels like at most only half as much beast stuff in this book as there was in Beastmaker. So it's not going to be, in my opinion, as good as Beastmaker. I'm reading this for killer monster stuff going on. It's the writing is fine. It makes a good thriller, except how do I do this? I'm trying to do this without any spoilers, as always. So there's something that goes on in this book, in the way it's written. There is a Halle Berry movie. I believe it's a Halle Berry movie. I don't remember the name of it. And I haven't seen it, so I could be wrong about this. They've talked about it on the podcast, How Did This Get Made? It is a serial killer movie, a killer at the very least. And Halle Berry in the movie is trying to figure out who the killer is. Spoilers, she's the killer. I don't care about spoiling some movie I've never seen. I don't even know the title of it. But anyway, so it turns out she's the killer. Now, according to the people on How Did This Get Made and other sources, there are scenes where Halle Berry is completely alone, and yet she is trying to figure out who the killer is. Now, this isn't a multiple personality disorder or a dissociative personality disorder kind of thing. It's simply the writer and or director trying to fool the audience by having a character do something completely unrealistic. When she's interacting with other people, yeah, act like you're trying to figure out who the killer is. But when you're sitting at home completely alone, why would you still behave as if you don't know who the killer is and you're trying to figure it out? All of that is to say, I felt there was something similar in this book. There's something going on, something I figured out. I was 75% sure that something was going to turn out the way it turned out. And then I actually went back and looked at an earlier part of the book and thought, to see if maybe reading it, it's kind of like if you watch The Sixth Sense and then you get the twist ending and then you go back and watch it again and sort of you're looking at it through a different lens and things have different meaning. So I went back to an earlier part of the book to see if, knowing what I knew, if I would read it differently. And there are still parts that, to me, don't make sense unless it's just the writer trying to trick the reader by having things happen that wouldn't happen, things that wouldn't be. I'm so trying to avoid spoilers here. But it doesn't make sense in the context of the story unless it's just the writer trying to fool the reader, if that makes sense. So that knocked it down a little bit. That's why it's not getting 4. It's only a 3.5, and I didn't round it up on Goodreads, so I rounded it down to a 3. All of that being said, hopefully you understood what I just spent minutes talking about. All of that being said, it is a well-paced thriller. Essentially, it brought to mind things like The Pelican Brief or some of Brad Meltzer's thrillers, where you have, again, this shadowy organization trying to take out people who might know or do know too much. And our heroes trying to stay alive, trying to maybe expose this organization or expose the truth. Meanwhile, they're also, this is Beaststalker. They're also dealing with the beasts, trying to figure out how to stop them, how to find them, how to stop them. Another negative. In Beastmaker, the main character, Mark Payne, wasn't the greatest guy, which is fine. Don't always have to have likable characters. Wasn't the greatest guy. Had a bit of an character arc, which helped out. Grayson Kirk is just a sexist, misogynist asshole who doesn't have the redeeming character arc, in my opinion, that Mark Payne had. And again, your characters don't have to be likable, but he just rubbed me the wrong way, and there's, again, some elements that seem shoehorned in, keeping it from that 4 stars. But the pacing is fine. The thriller elements, the cloak and dagger stuff was really good. Not enough monster stuff for me. This book does answer questions that came up in the first book. And so it's 3.5 stars. Beastmaker, the writing is fine, except for the writing technically is absolutely fine. There are some elements where I feel the writer is cheating. The author was cheating the audience. Personally, not enough crazy monster beast action. Much more thriller. A lot of helicopter talk, as in the first one. And this throws in some fighter plane talk as well. But not so much. It's not super dry. It doesn't get to the Tom Clancy levels. But, so 3.5 out of 5 stars for Beaststalker by James V. Smith Jr. It's a fine set of books. 4 for the first one, 3.5 for this one. And they have fantastic freaking covers. All right. So, question for this video. No recommendations, no book recommendations this time. Question this time. Do you feel that a writer needs to play fair with the reader? Now, I understand unreliable narrator, but isn't that generally when it's first person? Because it's the character that's unreliable. They're the ones telling you the story, and they're giving you the information they want you to have. But when it's the third person, omniscient, whatever, it's it can feel like the author is cheating. If they tell you that this character is a 6'2", blonde-haired, broad-shouldered, ex-Vietnam veteran. I'm pulling this out of my ass. It has nothing to do with the book. But if they tell you throughout the entire book, he's 6'2", blonde-haired, broad-shouldered, Vietnam veteran, and then at the end they're like, "Aha! I fooled you. He's actually a 5'2" Asian woman." I know that's extreme, but do you feel an author needs to play fair if it's written in third person omniscient? Does the author need to play fair, or can they purposefully trick you? Is that fair? Is it something you've ever thought about? Have you ever read anything that comes to mind that sort of falls into this thing that we're talking about? And I suppose we can tack on, how do you feel about unreliable narrators? So for me, as far as unreliable narrators go, it depends on the author. Some people I think, pull it off pretty well. And I've read some that come across as it's cheating. It just feels like cheating, even though generally it's first person. It still feels unnatural with some authors. A person telling you something would never say, a real person would never say that or do that. So I think it depends on the skill of the author. But I have no problem with it as a general concept. But if I feel that the author has cheated me, then yeah, I'm going to get annoyed. If they out and out lie about something in a third person omniscient tale, if they've lied, to me that's cheating. That's a weakness in the writing. And it's going to affect how I feel about the book. What about you? Is this something you've ever even thought about? Can you think of any examples? Let me know in the comments below. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here at the Low Budget Review Show. Please like, share, and subscribe, all the usual YouTube stuff. And if you care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is @Ronan5757. Excuse me. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, fuzzy animals, is Eric Smith 5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH 5757. And on Bluesky, where I almost never post, I am @EL Smith. That's all I've got for you. This has been the Low Budget Review Show. I have been Eric Smith, and until next time, read more books.